All right, let's talk about the current event that is the race day event, race day festival. First of the two race day events we have available in the current version 9.3. Of course, it features the two LMP1 Le Mans prototype cars from the year 2009, one from Aston Martin and the other one from Audi. So, as you can see, there's still 5 days left. This event has been actually ongoing for some time as I'm making this video now. I was on a little break, so anyway, so the last day to start this 5-stage, meaning 5-day countdown, will be the 18th of April. So as long as you start the event before it expires on the 18th of April, you will get 5 days to actually run through the event to win one of the two cars, plus this tuning setup, which there are 28 steps total, right? 6 on the, what do they call that, gearbox mapping, 7 on power unit optimization, the one that deals with acceleration, right? And then another 7 on brakes calibration, and 8 on the suspension adjustment, which helps with the grip, right? So, 5, as I said, 5 stages total. Number of goals, 21 goals. So it's 4 goals per stage, except for the final stage that has extra 1 more. So 5 goals on the final stage. And even though it is a LMP1 event, we do run through some variety of venues. So, for example, the very first stage does take place at the 24-hour circuit, Le Mans, right? And then for stages 2 and 3, we do go over to Nürburgring. And then for stage 4, we'll be at Silverstone. And the final stage, we come back to the France, but it's going to be not at the 24-hour circuit, but it's going to be at the Bugatti circuit, the shorter variation, right? So that's how it's going to be. And in terms of, well, there's, as soon as you start the event, there's going to be a 3-hour instant R&D for tuning setup, basically upgrades, and also the instant service on the car. And what you get to earn through by running through this event really isn't that much like actual race earning. You know how there's a 250,000 motorsport dollar cap per day that you can earn. And in the past, certain events, like let's say the limited time series we've had earlier in the version, for the Porsche, for example, the LMP2. That one, you maxed out the 250,000 motorsport dollar daily cap pretty early on. So if you were just kind of try to run through within 3-hour window, then in a way you kind of wasted away a bit of motorsport dollar earnings. Well, this event, it's your earnings probably gonna be going over 250,000. But not by much that you really can aim to just run through it within the 3 hours of starting the event, so you can take advantage of the instant service, because that's always nice to have. So you don't have to run the car in critical condition or having to wait for service, right? So that is some extra information to keep in mind. Now, in terms of rewards, yes, you get to win a car. You don't necessarily have to. You get to pick a car, by the way, when you complete the event. So you don't necessarily have to pick the car you race for the event. You can race with one car and pick the other car at the end. And obviously, in the next race day event, we do have 2 race day events in the current version, right? So in the next one, you'll pick the other one, right? So with that being said, And then, of course, there's some 50 gold to be won, as you can see. 5 gold for stage 1, which you can complete without any tuning setups at all, basically running stock. So that's essentially 5 free gold for you, even if you cannot afford motorsport dollar tuning setups, which shouldn't cost you that much, at least to get through first couple of stages. But anyway, stage 2 will require PR 74.7, which means you do need, I believe you need tier 1 tuning setups for either car. That should get your PR up to 74.7. Actually, you know what? Audi, you're gonna need more. Audi has, they start at the both same 73.4, but Aston Martin does get slightly higher PR as you start putting tuning setups on. So if you pick Aston Martin, then your max PR from the tuning setup when you max it out is going to be 0.1 higher than with the Audi. And depending on how many like tiers of tuning setups that you get, your PR would vary a little bit. And yeah, getting tier 1 tuning setups, for example, is one of those points where 2 cars have a different PR. And then once you get to like tier 3 tuning setups, they're both gonna be at the same number again, 77.1. And then they kind of go off again, and then they become identical again when you get to tier 6 tuning setups, basically 6 tuning setups across the board, which is important because that's the PR 80.8, which is what the PR requirement for completing this event is. So in terms of tuning setup strategy, here are a couple of different scenarios, because this event involves, or these cars involve, the whole tuning setup and team principal XP and the driver XP. Kind of like, oh gosh, was it 2020, the oh gosh, the GTE, right? They had those, it's kind of like, it's not quite same as the Formula 1, because Formula 1, there's a whole separate series called Invitational Series per team that you unlock by maxing out your driver XP. Or not just driver XP, but actually maxing out driver level. With these guys, there's no such thing. So there's little less incentive to max out the driver XP or even team principal XP. Team principal XP does have a direct, I guess, racing benefit, as in terms of like you get the double service bars. So you're able to drive for twice as long, right? On top of like, you know, the performance benefit that you get. Versus the driver XP, yes, you do get the, you know, better driving experience, but, and also you get the unlimited time trial, right? But there is no extra series it unlocks. And if you want to max out the driver, the gold cost to bring the driver up to level 8, I want to say, is going to cost you 514 gold. So that's not cheap either, just to like dump it into this, just so you can have unlimited time trial stuff, right? And maxing out the team principal will cost you 288 gold. So, and in terms of PR boost from the driver level, when you max it out, you do get up to, well, you get 2.9 PR point boost from the driver level once you max them out. And for team principal, there's a little less to be gained, but you know, for the cost, I think it's much more than comparable. I mean, for 288 gold to max out the team principal, you will get a PR boost of 2.2. So that's not for nothing. And since you will gain 375 principal XP per tuning setup that you buy, you can go with, let's say, just like 16 tuning setups, which is what's required to max out the principal XP. And that will bring your car's PR up to 78.3 for Audi or 78.4 for Aston Martin. Basically getting 4 tuning setups across the board, right? And in order to complete this event, which requires PR 80.8, obviously Audi needs 2.5 more and Aston Martin needs 2.4 more. So now then you can convert that team principal XP that you gained, 6,000 of it, and spend 288 gold and bring your PR up by 2.2 more, which means you either have to get 0.3 PR point more for Audi or 0.2 PR point more to meet the PR requirement of 80.8, which you can easily get by just leveling up your driver by to level 2, which will cost you 20 gold. And since it'll only take 500 driver XP to get to level 2, throughout the event, after a couple of races, you should be able to easily reach that driver level. So that's one scenario. And obviously, it will cost you about slightly over 300 gold to win one of the cars here. But as I said, when you max out the team principal XP, there is that extra perk or a couple of extra perks, right? So that's something to kind of keep in mind. And I don't see as much benefit from this event for leveling up your driver. Like Formula 1, it made more sense, even though it was pretty expensive, to level up your driver, because that actually unlocked the whole extra invitational series for that team. But here we don't have that, so there's just less incentive to do that. So that's my take. So that's one scenario of going with the kind of combination of your tuning setups, team principal, and the driver level all rolled into one, right? To meet the PR requirement of 80.8 for completing this event. The other scenario is much simpler, and I kind of mentioned that earlier. Get basically 6 upgrades or 6 tuning setups across the board. That will get your PR exactly up to 80.8, and you don't have to spend any gold. So the 50 gold that you earn from the event is purely just net gain. So that's nice. It will cost you 2,182,900 motorsport dollars to get that many tuning setups, but hey, that's all, no gold. So that's a win. I think that is possibly a better way to go. And the downside, if you want to call it a downside, so anything that you get beyond the 16 tuning setups, like 4 across the board, so 8 extra in this scenario, you basically won't get any principal XP gained from those. But considering there are only 2 teams and the other race day event will require even higher PR, actually the next race day event, the LMP Tour, that one does require PR 82, which once again, that is a PR that is achievable if you max out the tuning setups. So if you get all 28 tuning setups available, assuming that it kind of is going to be similar tuning setup as this current one, obviously for next event we'll have a new kind of tuning setups, but we'll see how that one turns out. But if it's anything similar in terms of like spec wise, if it's closer to this tuning setup, which I assume it's gonna be, it has to be, right? It has to somewhat close. then the cost should be relatively close, and I'm expecting the PR boost would be relatively close. That tuning setups alone, I'd like to think, should be able to complete both of the race day events featuring these LMP1 cars from back in 2009. So, all right. Yeah, so basically, if you go with the, getting 6 tuning setups across the board, then for the final 8 tuning setups, you won't be gaining any team principal XP, but you're maxed out. So why do you need it, right? And for the next event, you can max out the team principal XP for the other team principal from the next event or next tuning setup that's going to be available. So I feel like it's okay to just let that, let your team principal max out and just kind of run with that. And then in terms of the 2009 LMP1 season, these cars are featured in 200% complete. You do need PR 83.6. So tuning setups will get you only so far. So let's say if you go with the tuning setup from this race day event, that'll get you up to 82 for Audi and 82.1 for Aston Martin. So you are gonna need some, oh goodness, how many more points is it? 1.6, right? If you maxed out the tuning setup from this one. So 1.6 for Audi and 1.5, obviously, for Aston Martin, which you would probably be able to, well, not just probably, you will be able to get that by just simply leveling up your team principal. I don't know if I even want to bother with the driver level in this event, unless it's absolutely necessary for you. But that's my strategy, is always conserve your gold. There's going to be enough time between these events for you to kind of gather motorsport dollars again. So as long as you can kind of float somewhere around, as I call it, around 2 million at almost all times, you should be okay, But let's say for whatever reason you have 0 motorsport dollars right now, just because either you're new to the game or you just haven't been, you took a break, right? And you spent it all. Then in order to gather what's necessary in terms of tuning setup that you're going to have to purchase, it will take 10 days. So that's where there being 5 days remaining as of right now, I'm making this video, comes kind of relevant. So you will have to wait till the last day when the countdown of this entry close in timer goes down to the final hours. But until that point, you would have to make sure you farm those 250,000 motorsports dollars daily. And then once you start, then you still have to continue to farm for the remaining 5 days to make sure that you have enough fund. If you're planning on going purely with a motorsport dollar tuning setup, upgrades basically only to meet the PR requirement. Obviously, if you decide to go with the spending gold and whatnot, then that will bring down the motorsport dollar cost it will take to meet the PR requirement. But hey, gold is the king in this game. So anytime you're given an option to spare gold, I would recommend sparing gold. Gold is by far the toughest currency in the game to gather. So that would be my advice. And let's see, is there anything else that I would need to cover in this overview video for the event? I think that is fairly thorough. What do you guys think? So if you guys have any other questions regarding this event, feel free to write them in the comment box below. I'll have the necessary, I guess, relevant information in the description of the video, as always, description box below, so you can feel free to check that out. But well, and if you're wondering which car is better, well, they are pretty comparable. You know, I don't think one is all that much better than the other. You know, I think both handle relatively close. It's not like 2015 LMP1s where I feel like everybody pretty much drives Nismo, especially when we were doing the 10-lapper, the 24-hour Le Mans 10-lapper farming race. I think the top speed on that car is just like pretty much the most forgiving feature of that season cars. So that that seems like kind of an odd one. But like even 2014 season LMP1, all three cars are viable. Audi's good. It's the gripper. Porsche 919 Hybrid is the balanced one, possibly one of the best car in the entirety of the game. And then of course the speedster in that group is Toyota. So, you know, TS040, right? So those three cars are all, you know, better balanced out of the three. I think these two cars are going to be similar in that sense, not like 2015 season, which is kind of a bit of a wonky season, I think. So yeah, so tomato, I don't know if either car will matter. And besides, you will get to win both cars if you complete both race day events. So then, once they're in your garage, you can pick which one you prefer. I would say you should probably be the person to make that decision on that one, whether you prefer, you know. I cannot tell you whether you prefer vanilla ice cream or chocolate ice cream, you know. It's your preference. Anyway, that will do it for this overview video. So thanks for watching, and yeah, stay tuned for more information videos like this one and other miscellaneous Real Racing 3 race videos that I upload. So yeah, all right, take care, and we'll catch you in the next video.